And folks, as soon as you're ready, Mr. Birdwhistle can make the motion. Calling on Mr. Birdwhistle to make a motion for Article 7.
Move in terms of the article.
Motion's been made and seconded. You may speak to your motion. I hear point of order.
Mr. Moderator, are we going back to the having disposed of all the articles that we asked to be put in place ahead of the usual order? Are we going back to the usual order?
We've disposed of all the articles that had changed their order, so now we're going to the next in line that we haven't done yet, which is 7.
Okay.
That make sense?
Okay.
Because we did 1 through 6, and we just did 13, 12, 16, 15, 10, and 11.
Thank you.
So Mr. Birdwhistle, do you have a point of order? Okay, then wait for the microphone, please.
Helen Berg, Precinct 1. I think we voted in 2014 to make recreation.
I'm sorry. Would you please talk to the moderator and tell me what your point of order is?
I think we've had a moratorium for years. We were told December 15th marijuana would be legalized.
Okay. I'm sorry.
2014.
Excuse me. You need to stop speaking now. That is not a point of order. It's open for discussion, and you need to give the microphone back, and Mr. Birdwhistle can speak to his motion.
Ms. Chow is going to speak for the
I'm
board.
sorry. So, Ms. Chow, you're speaking to it.
Maria Chow, Planning Board. This is Article 7, the zoning bylaw article about the temporary moratorium on recreational marijuana establishments. So this is the last of the 5 warrant articles that we're working together to address this newly legal industry of recreational marijuana. Concurrent with drafting the zoning Article 6, which were the regulations for recreational marijuana retailers, this article for a temporary moratorium on recreational marijuana establishments was also created as mainly as a backup measure in case Article 6 did not pass, as well as just to bring it as an option for town meeting for discussion and to potentially enact a temporary moratorium. So as you all know, zoning bylaw 6 did indeed pass, but if this article passes, it would take precedent over Article 6. The purpose of this article is to adopt a temporary moratorium on the use of land or structures for a recreational marijuana establishment to be in effect through December 31st, 2018. The article defines a recreational marijuana establishment as a marijuana cultivator, independent testing laboratory, marijuana product manufacturer, marijuana retailer, or any other type of licensed marijuana-related business for non-medical purposes. The mechanics, basically the article would amend the zoning bylaw section 3.0 prohibited uses by adding a new section, section 3.03, temporary moratorium on recreational marijuana. And within that section, it lists the purpose of the moratorium. It contains a definition of recreational marijuana establishment. And it states that the moratorium would be in effect through December 31st, 2018. So the benefits, benefits are basically it would provide additional time to adopt zoning that reflects the Cannabis Control Commission's regulations, which should be due or issued by March 15th of 2018. And the risks, The article would prevent any new recreational marijuana establishments from opening in Amherst until the moratorium ends, thereby putting the town at an economic disadvantage of losing potential investors to seek locations in neighboring areas. Amherst may experience greater than usual impacts of the consumption of marijuana, whether or not there are retailers located in town. But by allowing retailers to locate in Amherst, the town can benefit from the additional tax revenue, which would help offset the expenses associated with those impacts. So the process, basically, Town Council KP Law had drafted a model zoning temporary moratorium article on which this Article 7 is based. The article has been reviewed by various town staff members, including Planning Department, Inspection Services, Health Department, and Economic Development. The zoning subcommittee reviewed the temporary moratorium this past summer, and it was decided to bring this article to the fall town meeting. A planning board public hearing on this article was held September 19th, and we voted 7-0-0 with 2 members absent to bring it to town meeting with no recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kruger for the Select Board.
Okay, the Select Board voted 5-0 to not recommend Article 7 if Article 6 passed. That was the zoning bylaw we did on Monday night. So I'm going to be really short, but I want to tell you that, as Ms. Chow said, this article was placed on the warrant as a safety net in case our zoning bylaw regulating retail establishments was not completed in time or ran into some snags that would have allowed us to revert to the moratorium. So over 80 communities in the Commonwealth chose to go the moratorium route. We chose to go the zoning bylaw route, even though there's many known unknowns about this. So the Select Board had voted if 6 passed, we would then recommend that you not adopt Article 7. If the zoning bylaw had failed, then this would be our backup position. We would have recommended it. So that's our position. So it's a little confusing. We had 5 articles, and given that the 4th one of those did pass on Monday night, we would recommend that you not approve the moratorium.
Thank you. This will require a 2/3, oh, I'm sorry, the Finance Committee has no position. Correct me if I'm wrong. No one's correcting me, so we're good. And this is a zoning bylaw, so it will require a 2/3 vote for passage. Is there discussion before we come to a vote? Yeah, right in the front row there.
Rob Kussner, Precinct 3. A question, perhaps. Sorry. I'm supposed to address the moderator. A question for whoever can answer this. We do have several surrounding communities. Which of them have approved this moratorium? One of the Select Board members indicated that many communities had. Have any of our surrounding communities already approved this moratorium? Something analogous to this?
Mr. Kravitz, do you have that information? Maybe?
I'm not aware of any of the immediately surrounding communities that have.
Thank you. Further discussion before a vote? Yeah, the white card right next to the aisle there.
I'm tempted to call a question, but I've never done. I don't understand why we're not dismissing
Identify
this.
yourself, please.
Meg Gage, Precinct 1. Why are we not just dismissing this? Seems like that would be quicker. If this was in place in case something else didn't pass that did pass.
Yes, Ms. Brestrup.
Planning board didn't have an opportunity.
Wait for that microphone to get turned on. It's not you, it's the soundboard.
Excuse me, the planning board, Chris Brestrup, planning director, the planning board didn't have an opportunity to meet between Wednesday's vote and tonight's vote, so they might have made a recommendation to make a motion to dismiss, And anyone in the town meeting may make that motion.
Yes, in the back corner there.
Vince O'Connor, Precinct 1. Just to reassure people who think there might be something that requires this, first, the regulations are going to come out on March 15th from the State Cannabis Control Commission. The town meeting, the warrant for the spring town meeting, the annual town meeting next year won't be signed until after the town election, early April. That's the usual custom. So we would have plenty of time to put something on. If there was something in the Control Commission's regulations that we just found very difficult, we could do that. But the practical matter also is that the regulations are due out on the 15th. They may not come out till April, but they're due out on March 15th. Licenses, the permits to use the license that an entity gets from the state has to come from the town. And so the licenses from the state will not be issued until, which is required for everyone who has retail services for this product, will not, or have to be, or supposed to be out by June, but they are not likely to be out until July. After that, the entity that gets the license will then have to come to the town for a permit. Once the permit process is over and they may or may not get a license, then they have to either create or renovate a facility to engage in the activities that have been permitted by either the Planning Board or the Zoning Board of Appeals. Folks, this was never going to be a problem because the practical realities of the situation will be that probably no retail establishment, other than the ones that have already been licensed and permitted for medical marijuana, will have been in place by the time this moratorium is due to take effect. So it really wasn't necessary at a practical level in any event, and I think we can dispose of this easily by a no vote without having to have other motions, because it will not practically affect the town in any way.
Okay. Sure. Right over there with the white card. Do I hear a second? Motion of the previous question has been made and seconded. If 2/3 of you vote yes, we will come to an immediate vote on Article 7, which in turn also requires 2/3 for passage. First vote is for the previous question to end debate. All those in favor of the motion for the previous question, please say aye. Aye. As opposed, please say no. The motion of the previous question has passed. We now come to an immediate vote on Article 7. The motion is, in terms of the article before you, this requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of the motion for Article 7, please say aye. All those opposed, please say no. No. Article 7 has failed.